Through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it loud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him. He's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules. A new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains and
Welcome, everyone. Good morning, all. It's welcome to the Crazy Kryptonaut channel. Zester, definitely been a busy morning. Excited to get to chat with everybody. And TGIF, most definitely. Good morning there, Mile High Trish. Good morning there, Kukla. Welcome, Crazy Chester. Crazy Chester, did Zester ever provide the details on the coaching? I missed, actually, my appointment with the credit card processing that I had set for Monday because I was sick, but everything should be back to on track on that front for very soon, and people will be able to start scheduling out some hours each week. Don't worry, guys. I'm very excited. As soon as I've got it up and running, I'm going to be letting everybody know. And I know with everything going on in the crypto world that a lot of folks who need help it's been piling up, and so very excited to get that up and running. Good morning, a joyful voice. Good morning, D. Crazy Chester, I told my wife that I took our neighbor's bagpipes. She said that I don't play the bagpipes. I said, as long as I have them, our neighbor can't either. That is, I'm kind of curious whether that's not a true story, Crazy Chester. Kukla, I love to see Tino, Tina, and Tommy. All three of the kitty cats are currently having a nap fest on the couch, but I'm certain now that I've started talking that the camera's on that Tommy or Tina will have to come back and at least say hello. DC, I received my ledger. Just need to take the time to move my crypto from Uphold to the ledger. Nice, D. Very nice. And yes, it is. Definitely. I see you folks already. Great advice there, Mile High Trish. Definitely, D, as you're starting that process. Remember, you don't need to send it all in one go. Test transfers. Instill a lot of confidence. Ensure that you've got the entire process figured out correctly. And worst case scenario, you do mess it up. Well, you're only out, 1 XRP or something like that, which isn't optimal because 1 XRP could end up being worth a good bit of money someday, but it's far safer that way. So no, that great advice there, Trish, and I'm excited for you, D. Do not let it get you overly worried. It's really not that bad once you sit down for it. Megan Loomis, good morning. Good morning, Megan. Megan says, ready to learn some new info. Apologies for the questions in advance. Megan, do not worry at all. All questions are welcomed here. All questions indeed. Sometimes I will miss one. If I do miss an important question, guys, just make certain to toss it back in there. It probably just got lost in the feed. All right. Michael, Zester, could you put in layman's term what you and Dr. Scott discussed last night? Oh, Michael, we ended up going a lot of different directions, but Michael, the major thing, and that really what I wanted to talk to Dr. Scott about, well, it was just all the crazy information and essentially the disinformation that we're getting and the distractions that are occurring, especially in regards to the information in terms of Barack Obama and treason, whether it's the Epstein files, whether it's everything in terms of cultural news and global conflicts that we seem to be being constantly fed a never-ending stream of fear, propaganda, and things that are designed to test our faith in terms of our held opinions, whether it be who we support politically or what we believe, and that we are in a serious time period of trials of faith. And so, I guess in short form, Michael, that would be a lot of that discussion. But let's get back to saying hello to everybody. Good morning, all. Hey, Mile High Trish says, Deborah's in the background, wants everyone to know she says hi. YouTube must have blocked her. Deborah, I'm so sorry. I don't know what YouTube is on about, but don't worry. You are much appreciated. And if you have any questions, send one along to Trish. I'm certain she'll make certain that I get it answered for you. Gary 7, are you feeling better? Zester, Gary, I am. I'm still a little mentally cloudy and have been throughout the week, I think just as a matter of recovery. But I am feeling much better now. It's really just been a matter of putting all the pieces back together in terms of work and everything that I missed. But no, thank you, Gary, so much for asking. I hope you are doing well, man. All right. Good morning. Yes. I know I'm missing some good mornings there, guys, but I'm going to try to get to the questions, get to the news. And so first things first, I got to make certain and say this one. Please do remember that I am not a professional financial advisor. The content in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide financial advice. Please consult with a financial professional before making investment decisions. Thank you very much, Kukla, for making certain I get that one. It is an important one to keep the alphabet gods happy. A joyful voice. Can we schedule in-person sessions? I wish. That really does make a huge difference for simplifying certain parts of explaining crypto or setting up something like a hardware wallet. When I can just sit down at your computer and you can just follow along with me, it turns that process into really more a matter of just sitting there and explaining and less a matter of, we have to find this button or have you updated your operating system or things like that. It makes it into far more of a streamlined process. But a joyful voice, I say one of the best things and one of the real things that is important doing it online is that it means that whoever is the person, it's your wallet, and you're working with me to set it up, you have to physically do the process. That is a great thing for your memory and for knowing the process long term, but it does make for a particularly difficult first setup. Just because everybody has different computers, maybe your buttons are in a different place, or maybe that sneaky button that what we need to click is just somehow hiding. And so I really wish we could. And after all of this is said and done, a joyful voice, and there's money all around, I would think that we'll probably be able to start doing some in-person ones. Dave Nelson, good afternoon from Wales. Good afternoon, Dave. Welcome. All right. Musical Lady, I thought your discussion with Dr. Scott last night was great about Genius Bill versus RP itself. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Musical Lady. Thank you very much. I was enjoying that one. Whenever I get the opportunity to chat with Dr. Scott, I always feel like I tend to go a little bit long because I can always think of another question, or the community always has another great question to ask. Who am I? Hi, Zester. Looking forward to learning more. Started in this crazy crypto world a week early, it appears. Welcome, and glad to have you. Who am I? Glad to have you. All right, guys. Still scrolling down. FL Jeeper, Zester, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Good, bad? FL Jeeper, I view Bitcoin as an integral part of the future financial system, even if it is a stepping stone. So when I view Bitcoin, I don't really view it as a matter of good or bad. I view it as a necessary step in the process. Do I think at some point that we will not have a crypto market that is as dominated by Bitcoin? Yes. I believe that we're going to see the likes of XRP and Ethereum and cryptos and companies that we have not even heard of, that have not even been started, that are going to end up taking large shares of that market. But Bitcoin in and of itself is going to serve a role going into the future. Ultimately, what we can already prove through real world examples is that what Bitcoin is primarily being used for is when governments mismanage their own centralized currencies. And we're moving towards a more decentralized world, but there's always going to be the desire from governments, from central banks, to reinstate those controls. There always is going to be an incentive for certain governments to try and claw back any of that decentralization of their currency and of the global economy, because they can have more control over it. Think about central bank digital currencies. Think about the traditional fiat system as we live in today. And so where Bitcoin serves a very important purpose is as being that outlet. It is ultimately, and that's the reason Satoshi Nakamoto in his white papers claims he made it, is because it ensures that when governments and your own government starts to screw around with your financial future, you have an avenue to get out. Now, I do think that at some point we'll see the role of Bitcoin change, but ultimately, I view Bitcoin as something that's around to stay. Maybe in a different form, maybe not at the same market cap, but I do believe that Bitcoin is going to continue to rise in value. I have very, very, very high expectations for what types of values one singular Bitcoin could end up achieving. It really could be $1 million of Bitcoin in the future, especially if we continue to see the M2 money supply skyrocket in the way that it currently is. As a matter of fact, we have some articles to go over today in regards to M2 money supply and just how much value, how many dollars are they claim are out there in circulation, very close to 100 trillion. And so when we start to talk about the global M2 money supply at nearly 100 trillion, we start to have to question what the value of just about anything is, especially the value of the dollar. All right, though. Franco, what are your thoughts on XLM? Franco, I am. And so, of course, I always like to say, whenever I talk about a cryptocurrency, I like to be upfront, whether I own it or not. I own XLM. Now, what I would say, and I've been an XLM holder for a decent amount of time, in all honesty, at this point. Things I would say, Frank, I'm a large proponent of XLM or the Stellar technology. From a company standpoint, I wish they would speed the heck up. But I also am very understanding of why they haven't. So I'm actually very, very bullish on where XLM can go now that we're seeing the end of the SEC chasing after XRP, because Frank, remember, they're very, very simple. And I think that genuinely that fear of reprisal from the SEC kept XLM or Stellar from doing much for a lot of years. And so I am far more bullish now about XLM in this current market than I was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, I was just angry at the company because they weren't doing anything. It's like, hey, why am I holding so much Stellar if y'all aren't going to be working for me? And ultimately, I believe they were not working for a logical reason. As Stellar is not as big as XRP, they don't have the funds to be able to combat the SEC. And so they wisely stayed a little quiet. And so I'm very, very bullish on where Stellar is going to go. It's all about the tokenization of real world assets. And so, Frank, those are the cryptos. And that's one sector of the cryptocurrency markets in the future that I think is going to be gigantic. It's the tokenization of real world assets. That's why I like XRP. That's why I like XLM. It's not for themselves. I don't just like the XRP coin. I like what their business is focused on, because I strongly believe that is going to be a $10 trillion enterprise and market in just the coming decade. That means there's going to be a lot of price appreciation if everything works out the way I'd like it to. FLGeeper and both Bitcoin and XRP, or is XRP the best investment? Well, of course, FLGeeper, I've got to say this. I'm not an investment professional or a financial professional. And so it is entirely my opinion, but FLGper, I choose to be diversified. Now, I would say XRP and Bitcoin and Ethereum are the ones that I hold the most of. XRP, I think, actually edges out the amount of Bitcoin that I hold by a little bit. And so I hold them in fairly even percentages. And FLGper, I'm a big fan of diversification. Ultimately, Bitcoin and XRP serve very different purposes. They really aren't in the same market. And that's something we're going to start to see more and more often have a distinction in the coming year. We're going to see a distinction between tokens or coins or projects that are tokenizing real world assets like XRP, and then something that is entirely designed to be a decentralized currency for the internet like Bitcoin that serves an entirely different role. All right. Dave Nelson, what are your 5 favorite crypto projects and why? Well, Dave, that's a pretty hard one to really go right off the top of the head. Dave, I would say Chainlink, absolutely. Ethereum, absolutely. XRP, absolutely. As I was saying, more so now, XLM than a couple of years ago. I would probably a year or two ago, I would not have said that that it was in my top 5. And then as we were to look at, say, that 5th slot, that one would be tough. That would be tough. There's a whole lot of different cryptos out there, and a lot of different projects that I would say all deserve that one of those top 5 spots. But XRP, XLM, Ethereum, Bitcoin, those would definitely are no brainers in my opinion. As being ones I'm particularly excited about the future of. Holistic, good morning, Zester. I'm wondering if there would be any safety in spreading crypto between multiple cold wallets. Would there be any good reason to do that, even if we only have a small quantity? That's a good question, Holistic, and I've often thought on that one also. And so, Holistic, I would say that from I do think that there's a lot to be said about having maybe 2. Having one that's essentially the more public wallet, or the one that maybe is a little bit more out there. The one that if you ever did have something occur, that'd be the one that you would hand over. I know that people who have a buttload of crypto, they do tend to split it up between a variety of different wallets, and that's just a matter of not putting all their eggs in one basket. Once again, say something happens to one of them, at least you don't have all of it get lost. When you're in small quantities, though, Holistic, I would have to say there's really no reason to not kind of just have everything centralized on one from a simplicity standpoint. And remember, Holistic, and this is what I do most commonly, is that remember that you can always have a hot wallet for free. And so if you're ever planning on doing something that you need some kind of separation of your wallets, you could always send a small amount from your Fort Knox, from your hardware wallet, over to a hot wallet in order to be utilized for whatever it is that you may be doing in that moment. Say you wanted to do something a little riskier. You want to try out a new staking platform or a new yield platform. And in that case, there's a lot of benefit to actually separating out to, say, a smaller wallet. That way, if for some reason that platform that you're utilizing is not legitimate, you're not risking as much. And so, Holistic, I suppose there are a few different, very specific scenarios where it would make sense, even with small quantities, to have separate wallets. But I think in the grand scope of things, Holistic, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I would honestly more enjoy just the organization of having multiple wallets. That way I could organize my investments in and of itself. I would see that as maybe being more of a benefit than the security side. Because remember, every single cold wallet is another 24 words that you cannot lose. And so every cold wallet you add on to that, you're just creating another 24 word sequence that you cannot forget. So yeah, Holistic, not certain on that one. Not certain. I would definitely say if you end up with a lot of it, I would split it up into multiple different wallets. Lisa BH, hi Zester. I need help setting up an HBAR account on my Ledger wallet. It's complex, not like setting up XRP. I sent an email. Lisa BH, I actually have a video showing the setup for Hedera Hashgraph on the channel. I have a recorded video of that one, I believe, or maybe I'm losing it. Let me look real quick. Let me pull up this screen over here. Let me pull up this screen over here and see if I do or not. Well, there we go. All right. XDC there. Yeah, we do. We've got it. Lisa BH, right down here. We've got how to crypto tutorial for storing your Hedera HBAR on your Ledger hardware wallet, a 21-minute video. And so it was not the easiest process, Lisa, but that one will walk you through it step by step so that you can get your HBAR onto your Ledger wallet. Please do go through and make certain as you're going along that you double check. Things do change over time. As you can see by the comments, Pumper 34 4 months ago, what an effed up mess on their part, but you got me through it. Beers to you. It is not an easy process to set up HBAR on the Ledger. It is similarly even harder to set up XDC on the Ledger, but it is possible. And so those videos might be able to help. I know that they seem to have helped a lot of folks out there, Lisa. And so if not, totally the email route. Patty Perry, QQ, is XRP going to equal Bitcoin? I was listening to your combo with Dr. Scott yesterday and got distracted. Can you clarify, please? And so, Patty, when it comes down to XRP and Bitcoin, they serve very different roles. And so, in that regard, I think it's kind of difficult to do apples to apples. It's kind of apples to oranges, or more like, apples to a T-bone steak or something. They have a big difference between the two in terms of what they do. So it's a little hard to just flat compare them. But what I would say, Patty, is that it is very possible that we live in a world where they have similar market caps or similar valuations as a company. Please keep in mind, though, and here's a very important one, that when it comes down to it, and when I say similar valuations, that what I mean is the total market capitalization, not the price point. Bitcoin is a 2.2, nearly $2.3 trillion market cap in and of itself. XRP is 178 billion. So if you were to just take those numbers and do some math, there are a whole lot more XRP in circulation than there are Bitcoin. There's only ever going to be 21 million, whereas in the case of XRP, there's already 59 billion of them in circulation right now. Ultimately, there will end up being a max supply of 100 billion XRP out there. And so that drastically changes the conversation about what the general price per coin can be. XRP cannot be worth $100,000. Otherwise, that would be where we're living in a world where there are quadrillions of Googles of US dollars out there. We would have a massive inflation issue. And so that's just one thing. Keep in mind, Patty, that we're not going to see anywhere near the same price points, but I do see a world where we see the same market capitalization. And that is a major increase to the general price of an XRP from where it is today. And so, Patty, I hope that was I hope that I answered that question correctly. All right. Megan Loomis. Zester, for a newbie to crypto, is there a certain company, or I should say type of crypto to start with? How do the wallets work? Is it wise to invest in Bitcoin at all? Megan, when it comes down to that initial start, here are some of the things that I would highly recommend. One thing is I would recommend getting, say, a Coinbase account. Coinbase is what I tend to recommend. It's going to have little training lessons about crypto inside of it. You'll occasionally get a little bit of free crypto, and you'll be able to start kind of dipping your toes in. Megan, essentially, the best advice when it comes to crypto is proceed slowly. Do not jump in head first. proceed with a small amount of money that is something that you are okay with potentially losing. Start with a safe place like a Coinbase. Start there. And then what I would highly recommend is starting to look at and just starting to keep up with and really research what different types of markets there are out there that are going to be bigger and bigger in the future for cryptocurrency. And so you're on the right track when it comes to going with the big boys. It's always wisest to start with the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the XRP. You don't start day one and go running around looking at meme coins. That's not a good way for to achieve long-term success. And so in that regard, Megan, start slowly. Start with something like a Coinbase. Buy a little bit of crypto. Move that crypto around. Maybe set up a hot wallet. Something like MetaMask would be a great option that you can set up for free, and then you can start learning a little bit about self-custodianship. And so, Megan, I would highly recommend slow steps. Get through those beginning things. Set up a Coinbase account. Have $10 of crypto to your name. And then just start slowly learning. From that point, come back and ask more questions. Or once you've got that part mastered and you're feeling comfortable with your Coinbase account, then we start moving towards that next step. Let's play with self-custodian. Like, let's get it onto a wallet that you own. Otherwise, I think you're in the right place. So just come on back here at any point, Megan, and ask any questions you may have along the way. Gary 7, when do you expect every store in the USA to take crypto like they take cash? Gary 7, I think that one of the first things we're going to see is an in-between world. And this is something that I don't think is going to go away. And so my example would be the Coinbase card. Right now, you can get a card from Coinbase that allows you to spend the crypto in your Coinbase account. It swipes like a debit card. It uses like a credit card. It's no problem. You take the money right out of your Coinbase account. Well, if that money is being stored in a stable coin like USDC on the Coinbase account, effectively, you are making purchases with your stable coins. Now, what it's doing, though, is it is automatically swapping and then paying the vendor in US dollars. And Gary, I think that's the point where we're going to essentially have a growth process. It's going to be, when do we break from every time a transaction is occurring where, as I, the customer, I am spending crypto, it is being converted to US dollars. In the near future, we're going to start to see where certain companies are going to accept the stablecoin. Not, I am selling my stablecoin for US dollars. No, I am sending the stablecoin. And so, Gary, that to me is where we're going to essentially see a breakdown. First step is we're going to see a massive increase in the amount of people who are technically spending stablecoins or crypto, but the vendor is not receiving crypto. And so, Gary, I think that first step is occurring right now, and it's going to accelerate in a massive way over the next year. And then I think, Gary, we're going to start to see more slowly the stores say, hey, no, I accept USDC. Just show right up. Here's the QR code. Here's whatever it is. Send the USDC right here, and then walk out with your goods from the store. That, I think, is going to be a company by company by company type move. But the Genius Act is really what established it as happening. And so it's going to happen. But Gary, that's a good question. When is it really going to become seamless to be able to just walk around and have nothing but crypto in your wallet and that be perfectly okay? That one, I think, is going to be a little bit further down the road. But that first step, Gary, is already a crazy good deal. Think about it. On Coinbase, you keep your USDC there. You earn 4.1% APR without it ever leaving your account. And then you can go in and you can spend that USDC at any store for anything that you want, while it still sits inside of a bank account earning 4.1. I mean, essentially, you're able to now take your checking account and it's earning savings account levels of interest that is only going to accelerate. Proud Arab American. How many XRP would you say you need to have a nice retirement? Asking for a friend. That is, I'm curious as well, Proud Arab American. And so if you find out, let me know. I don't know if I have enough or not, but I do very much envision a world where XRP is double digits. And so that's the first step for me. I want to see $10 XRP. And I think that is something that's very, very achievable in the next years, possibly sooner than that. And so that's going to be step one. I would have to say at that point, I don't know if I'm ready for the nicest retirement out there, but I'm definitely going to be feeling a bit better about it. And so you let me know if you find out, Proud Arab American. But I know $10 is not really something that I have too much doubt in at all. Crazy Chester, what's your take on Polkadot? Polkadot is a great staking crypto. In terms of the actual use case of Polkadot, I'm not really a big fan. It has a very odd system of essentially off chains that are created. And I know I'm trying to keep this simple from a technology standpoint. Polkadot is a very, very weird ecosystem. It was extremely exciting when it was the hot topic a couple of years ago. And it really has trailed off ever since. And so Polkadot, I am no longer a holder of. I used to be a holder. Actually, I take that back. I hold like a little bit of Polkadot that is staked because Polkadot staking has very, very high return rates. And it's a proof of staking network. And so you're actually getting those returns without really any risk at all. And so I do have a very, very tiny amount. But in all honesty, the idea, the business model does not excite me. But the staking returns definitely are great for adoption because it's awfully tempting to earn 17, 18% on your Polkadot paid back in Polkadot. Luis Turnipseed, I'm holding my crypto in Kraken. How do you feel about Kraken? I have no problem, no worries with Kraken. Kraken, Gemini, Coinbase, Uphold are really the ones I feel the best about. Coinbase, I feel the absolute best about because it's a publicly traded company. I at least feel they're going to be held somewhat accountable if anything were to go wrong. But when it comes to Gemini, I'm a big fan of the Winklevoss twins, and so I'm a big fan over there of that one. Kraken seems to be a pretty darn good platform, and I believe they actually give you a little free Bitcoin for opening an account. Lois, this does bring me to something that I think is important, guys, because everybody's always very focused on what the best exchange is. I have all of them. I don't just have one. I have had probably 20 different centralized exchange accounts over these years. I do not necessarily use most of them ever, but I have. And the reason is because each different exchange is a tool. And so if there's a crypto that I want and I can only find it on that exchange, well, then I'm glad that I have that exchange set up. Because I don't keep my crypto really sitting there. The only exchange I have that has a little bit of crypto sitting in it is Coinbase. That is the only exchange that has it, and it only has a couple $100 sitting inside of it. And so otherwise, I use exchanges to buy crypto, and then I leave them. All right. Franco, I got in when XRP was 22 cents. You got to love those returns, Frank. You got to love those returns. All right. Who am I? Can we talk capital gains? Do you think eventually this will change, i.e. be removed like property tax? Capital gains, especially in the crypto space, who am I? I am very curious. I think that we're going to end up with kind of more of a modified form of capital gains, specifically for cryptocurrency. And of course, this is going to be different in every country around the planet. Australia is already certain areas of Australia are actually charging unrealized capital gains tax on cryptocurrency. And so they're making their citizens pay capital gains taxes on money they haven't even made yet, on crypto that they haven't even sold over to dollars. And so you're going to see a lot of differences in terms of around the world as countries start to really try to figure this out. Every country is, in all honesty, they're all just trying to figure it out. This is entirely new, and many of them are not really very aware or knowledgeable about what the best path forward is. So I'm expecting there to be a lot of darts thrown at the wall, and a lot of bad ideas that get thrown out there on the crypto capital gains side in the future. But eventually, I think we will end up with a modified form that I hope will be very, very low. All right. Yeah, Michael, Zester, did you see this? Coinbase partners with PNC, seventh largest U.S. bank, to let 9 million customers buy, sell, and hold crypto directly in their accounts. Absolutely there, Michael. And yes, it is happening. Coinbase and centralized exchanges and banks are the same thing. And we're about to see that become very much reality, where we're going to see Coinbase offering banking solutions to banks. We're going to see banks offering we're going to have Coinbase offering crypto solutions to banks. We're going to have banks offering banking solutions to Coinbase. And before you know it, we're going to end up in a world where they are indistinguishable from each other. And you can just as easily be a crypto investor from your Wells Fargo or your PNC account as you could be from, say, your own wallet or from Coinbase. It is, Michael. We are seeing this thing go at a breakneck pace. We have seen more occur in the world of crypto in the past 10 months that we saw in crypto for its entire lifespan. We have never moved this fast. We have never seen these many world-changing alterations to how the financial system works in my lifetime for certain. And in all honesty, I think that there's probably a solid argument that there has never been a time in human history that we have ever had a financial system changing at such a rapid pace as we see today. I could very easily make that argument. And I have a feeling that in the coming years, it's going to become a moot point where everyone is just going to know that we're going through the biggest financial revolution in all of written human history. Chris Gossett. Hello, Zester. Can I move my crypto from my Atomic wallet to a ledger? Is it difficult? Chris Gossett, you absolutely can move your crypto to a ledger from a wallet like Atomic. And Chris, it's not bad. Remember, though, one of the number one points as you are going through and learning, especially your first times, send test transactions, Chris. It may take you a decent amount of time the first time you go through and do this. But it will be much easier the second time. And the best way to go about it safely is to make certain to send test transfers. So, Chris, when you go in, you get yourself set up, send 1 XRP from your Atomic wallet to your ledger and see if it arrives. Things like that, Chris, allow you to essentially learn, practice, become comfortable and confident without risking the kitchen sink. And I do believe that there are some videos I have out there that would definitely walk through, but I don't have one specifically for Atomic Wallet. Yes. Oh, actually, Mile High Trish, you're too fast. You got there before I could even answer it. Granny's too rotten. Yes, I do believe that is the perfect video to help out when it comes to Uphold over to Ledger. I have one specifically for Uphold to Ledger, Lobster to Ledger, Coinbase to Ledger, and then I have multiple videos that I don't think are properly labeled, though, because they were live streams where I sent money from Ledger to the different exchanges. I believe there's a very long video, a very long stream out there where I did. I need to go through at some point and simplify that one. Make it easier on everybody. That way it's easier for y'all to find, and heck, I don't know if I could find it quickly right now. So, Megan Loomis. Okay, does it seem pretty self-explanatory once you create the Coinbase account? Megan, Coinbase in the setup process, Coinbase is really going to hold your hand through it. Once they've got you all set up, now you are going to be kind of just kicked out of the nest, I suppose you could say. But at that point, Megan, that's where I would. That's where I would watch some videos. I'd learn a little bit about different cryptos. I'd do some of the lessons in Coinbase. There's these learning lessons that'll show up sometimes where you can earn some free crypto for learning about the cryptocurrencies. Definitely do those. And you'll start to feel more and more comfortable, and you'll be set up and ready now with your Coinbase account to start buying cryptocurrencies once you do feel safe enough to do it. Savvy, and those platforms will take a tiny cut for swapping crypto for cash. Yes, Savvy, I strongly believe so. Now there are, and so Savvy, like when it comes to your stable coin like USDC, it's actually a different situation. And in that case, essentially your fees are going to be very, very, very small because the market is not moving. One for one, it's one stable coin is $1 US. And so those tend to have the absolute smallest fees. And so like Savvy, I can go on Coinbase and I can exchange $500 US for 500 USDC for free. And I can do the same back. I can go, nope, give me back my US dollars. It's free. And so on Coinbase, I can go from US dollars to USDC, a stable coin, for free. No cost at all. Now, if I were to go from Bitcoin to USDC, well, there's going to be a fee. And that trading fee is just what Coinbase is collecting for the services they're providing. They're providing me with that liquidity. All right, all right. More questions. All right, guys, if I'm missing anything. All right, all right. Yukon, XTC versus HBAR. Yukon, Hedera, Hashgraph would absolutely be the one between the two that I'm more excited about. I do not hold more XTC than I needed to buy to make that video that is on the channel. That was the first and only time that I bought XTC. I know many people out there are very excited because it is in the ISO compliance area. It is one, though, that has kind of flown a little under my radar. But Hedera Hashgraph, I have held for a long time. I would say Hedera fits into the same category as Stellar for me, where I have not always been the happiest with the progression of HBAR in terms of its development of the technology. And so I'm far more excited about HBAR now than I was a couple of years ago, now that we do have clarification. And we really should be seeing these ISO cryptos really should be kicking the absolute nitrous right now because of the regulatory frameworks that are being established in the form of the Genius Act, et cetera, et cetera. And so I would say that it really is. It is time. It's time to find out. In a year's time, if some of these ISOs have not really kicked the gas on and started to hit the nitrous, I'm going to be a little concerned about them going forward because it really is their time to shine. Really is their time to shine right now. Sean Height, is there a platform now that a consumer can use their credit/debit card for e-commerce where the business can save on transaction fees and get USDC or something similar? Actually, there are. And so let me see if I can't pull this up. See if it is still currently running. But there are currently a few different platforms that allow for payment with crypto. And so, as a matter of fact, right here, Sean, and so right here, and this is on the Freedom Forged coffee page, and so that's the reason that I went running over to check it out, Sean, because actually I have set this up. Me and Jeremy have set this up on Freedom Forged, and it was very, very easy to do. And so what you can do is you can go in and you could say, buy a mushroom tincture. I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to be like, okay, I want more payment options. And now when I actually get here, I have the opportunity to click BitPay, where I then have the opportunity to pay with cryptocurrency. I can pay with XRP, I can pay with DAI, I can pay with USDC, I can pay with Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I can pay with all of these different cryptocurrencies. And then actually, as the retailer, what we did is we decided what we wanted paid in. And so if you go through and you choose the crypto option when you're making that purchase through BitPay for coffee, which, you're not going to pay the credit card fees. We're not going to pay the credit card fees. We end up getting that payment in the form of the stable coin or the crypto that we set it as. Or BitPay will automatically switch your crypto for US dollars, and then it'll just send the US dollars. And so, Sean, actually, BitPay is one option or one payment provider that has already kind of set that up, where now a consumer can go in and they can just use crypto, and the retailer itself can get paid in either crypto or in US dollars. And so, Sean, absolutely, this is very much happening now. We're going to see these types of platforms become very common. And so the only reason that this has not been happening in the past is because it was very much a worry that the US government was going to get mad at us. And so BitPay and this functionality as technology has been out for a while. We only activated it after Trump won the election. That was the only reason we felt comfortable, was because we knew that we finally had a crypto-friendly president who didn't want to go through and knock down all of the innovation. But yes, it is very much, and this is something you're going to see start to occur on everybody's different sites. You're going to see the same thing on Amazon, Walmart. You're going to see it everywhere. You're going to always be getting asked, hey, want to pay with crypto? Hey, want to pay with crypto? They want you to do it because you're going to save them a lot of money. And some companies are going to start passing on those savings by saying, hey, we give a 2% discount if you pay in stablecoins. I very much expect that to occur. That functionality is still being developed, at least in BitPay. I don't believe that was an option when we were going through and setting it up, but I imagine you're going to see things like that very soon. The same way that you get a cash discount. North Carolina, I know you go to a North Carolina barbecue joint out in the middle of the country, there's going to be a little sign on the cash register that says cash discount. I don't know if y'all are the same, but Prissy Polly's in Kernersville, North Carolina, it's the one that is literally, I'm seeing it right now in my head. They always have a cash discount. Lots of places have cash discounts because, well, they don't have to pay the credit card fees. And, well, they probably don't plan on telling Uncle Sam about it. But in terms of online sales, well, it's not about not paying Uncle Sam. It's online sales. Uncle Sam's going to figure it out. But what it is saving is it's saving that entire credit card processing fee. And so the likes of Walmart and Amazon, that is in the tens of billions of dollars a year, they are going to want you to pay in crypto. It is a huge slam dunk for them. Think if you could just suddenly increase your profit by 3% of total incoming revenue. Holy crap. That is a ton of money. Every shareholder is going to want that to happen. Every CEO is going to want that to happen. And you're going to see this accelerate to an insane speed. An insane speed. All right. Yep. Savvy retailers lose 2 to 5% on card fees used. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that it very much depends on what merchant level they're in. Are they a high risk category? Are they a low risk category? And Savvy, those fees and everything else, they come out off the top. And so when chargebacks and other things occur, it's a huge issue. Guess what? If you paid in crypto, there are no more chargebacks. That's just gone. There's no more chargebacks. And there's no more overdraft because you can't pay in crypto if you don't have the crypto. But you can darn sure do that with your card because the banking system is too slow. Whereas with crypto, there's no more overdraft. There's no more somebody paying that can't pay. There's no more somebody going in and having their credit card company yank the transaction back because they made a claim at the last second. But in all honesty, you already provided the service or the product. None of that will happen anymore. So from a retailer standpoint, it's a slam dunk. Like, think about it. No more chargebacks. No more, whatever, credit card, yada, yada. No more processing fees. No more any of it. Some of the different payment processors charge monthly fees, depending on what industries you're in. No more of those. And so it really is. It is a huge, huge savings from a business standpoint. All right, guys. I have been answering questions and going on, and I have not gotten into all of our articles. So we're going to do a little bit of a speed run through the news because I see the time, and we're at the 50-minute mark, and I have not gotten y'all through some fairly interesting news articles that we've got today. All right, XRP versus Ethereum. Which token is quietly outperforming in whale-fueled rallies? XRP. Of the top blue chip cryptocurrencies, XRP is the #1 best choice for the past year and a half. As XRP holders, this is not surprising at all, but it has really, really fueled a lot of speculation that Ethereum is next, and that essentially XRP has seen somewhere around a 540% increase in overall value in the past year or so. Whereas Ethereum has only seen a 6% increase in the same exact time frame. And that is indicating to a lot of analysts that there is going to be a massive breakout on the Ethereum side. Eric Trump, as a matter of fact, would happen to be one of those people. Eric Trump agrees Ethereum should be over $8,000 as global M2 money soars. Ether's bullish outlook strengthens as Bitcoin dominance falls below 60%. What do they mean here, guys? Falls below 60%. If you're ever curious on this one, it is actually always being tracked on this page because it is viewed as a very, very important metric by many crypto OGs. And it is right up here. It is Bitcoin dominance level. And that means that of the market capitalizations in total, that Bitcoin is 59.7% of the entire crypto market. Ethereum is 11.4%. The 60% mark has always been viewed as an indicator of if Bitcoin has dropped below a 60% dominance level, that we are going into an altcoin rally. And that very often we tend to see that the reason Bitcoin dominance drops is because the overall dominance of the market of Ethereum and other altcoins is currently on the rise. And so that's where a lot of that speculation is coming from, is that we saw the dominance drop. And that means that many people are out there screaming, it's time for an altcoin rally, which brings me to the next article, which I think is very well timed right after those two articles. Bitcoin tumbles below 116K in bloodbath for crypto longs. In the past 24 hours, at this point, the past 34 hours, the crypto market downturn saw 213,729 traders get liquidated for a total of nearly $600 million in just over the past 24 hours. $600 million gone. And these were long traders. And so this appears to have been a bit of a reverse squeeze, where a lot of people went ahead and shut down the longs. The bears managed to win out, and it's fairly logical. We're in price discovery, and the market is going to remain fairly volatile and fairly weak because the market really hasn't decided what the current price of Bitcoin is. And that's why we do see Bitcoin sitting at 115,000. We see XRP back down to $3. Really was enjoying seeing it at 350, 360. That was very nice, but I think we'll be back there fairly soon. And then we've got Stellar down here sitting at 40 cents. And so we have seen a general downtrend, and during that, we saw a massive, massive amount of longs end up getting liquidated. Guys, I really, really, really want there to be a conversation by our politicians about leverage in the crypto markets, leverage in the financial system. It, in my opinion, it's not something that should exist. Leverage trading, gambling in that way, gambling with money that is not yours, in the argument that that somehow keeps the market healthier is something that, in all honesty, no economist is ever going to be able to convince me that the negatives or that the positives outweigh the negatives. No one ever will. I am very, very opposed to leverage trading. I know that I am a broken record on that side, but once again, whenever you see liquidations and you see longs are when people take out leveraged options for the price going up. And so at least I kind of appreciate them a little more. At least they're optimistic. And shorts are when people place leveraged bets on the price of a specific asset going down. Whenever you see liquidations of longs or shorts, it is a matter of people who were gambling. Now, many of them will argue that they're good at it and that they make money in the long run, but yeah, whatever. Mary Way, like option trading. Yes, in many forms, in many ways, it's kind of like option trading. The difference here, though, is that an option is when you actually purchase the ability to buy or sell at a certain price by a certain time frame, whereas with a leveraged long or short position in a cryptocurrency, what you actually do is you go in and you legitimately buy that asset at exactly that time period. And then you have the opportunity to then sell it or you get liquidated. And so essentially you say, I have $1,000 and you go to an exchange, you go to the exchange, I have $1,000, but I would like to buy $100,000 of Bitcoin because I think the price is going to go up. And so I take my $1,000 and I buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin because they gave me the money. And what they're doing is they're saying, okay, if the price of Bitcoin drops by 1%, we're going to liquidate your entire $100,000 of Bitcoin because that's how the exchange makes certain they get their money back. They're charging fees. They're charging all of these things along the way in order to give you that quote unquote loan, but the exchange never loses because it automatically liquidates your position before the exchange can lose money. And what this does is it creates a massive amount of volatility because, Mary, that person only had $1,000. That was all they had that was real. But they were able to make a purchase of $100,000. And that means that when they get liquidated, they cause a massive drop comparatively in the overall price of that asset than they should have. It should have been $1,000 sale, but instead it was $100,000 sale. And that creates major issues, in my opinion. That creates extreme volatility, and it very, very, very seriously affects people that are traditional investors. And as we go towards into the future of cryptocurrency being used for more and more things, I believe that the danger essentially of allowing this unfettered gambling market is going to start having very real world complications for people. Very real world effects are going to start to occur when we start to see this type of leverage trading, and we're starting to talk about currencies and things that we are using on a regular daily basis. Like that in and of itself it's like quantitative easing. I mean, essentially it's like the banking system on steroids. And this isn't only being offered by centralized exchanges. This is really not something that I think going into the future should remain as large as it is. Now, keep in mind, though, the financial industries are really not going to want leverage trading to go away. They already have the most money. And when you give them the opportunity to then leverage that money, they really have way more money than all of us, and they can affect markets. And so I don't know if we'll ever see the end of leverage trading, but I sure hope so. Or I shouldn't say that. I sure hope we see a framework we should not be allowing people to take 100x leverage and then crashing markets because, well, they were wrong. Deborah Muse Wolf, in Tucson, some business owners are adding 3% to your cost if you're using a card. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you're going to just start seeing the opposite start to occur, where it's, hey, if you do crypto, no fees. All right, guys, more of our last articles. And then I see the time, guys. I'm going to let everyone get on and enjoy their Friday. But Christie's brokerage firm launches new crypto real estate division. The Christie's International Real Estate has created a specialized crypto division comprising teams of lawyers, analysts, and crypto experts to handle digital asset transactions. You can now purchase over $1 billion worth of real estate portfolio options from Christie's with cryptocurrency. We're going to see this continue to accelerate. Just another big name out there. Sotheby's is already accepting cryptocurrency in their auctions. Christie's is now going to be accepting it on real estate. We're just going to see this continue to accelerate. All right. This one, though, guys, this is one I really wanted to talk to you about because, well, I had seen this pop up yesterday. I had been looking into it, and then I had a couple of people from the community start sending me articles and messages about it saying, holy crap, 20% yield on my XRP. And so I wanted to go ahead and say that I know that these articles are going around. I know that the articles are going around. The company seems to be legitimate, but I have not had an opportunity to fully vet it. And so if you are seeing this opportunity or whatever it is, these articles going around, please remain somewhat, remain hesitant. It sounds very, very good. Ultimately, the project seems to be legitimate, and this is a part of the EVM sidechain that was recently launched for the XRP ledger, connecting it to the Ethereum blockchain. So, what do the article says? Retail XRP holders could soon earn 20% yield on their tokens. The platform routes XRP deposits into smart contract vaults that automatically deploy capital across vetted DeFi strategies, all while maintaining user-controlled access and withdrawals. More Markets has launched an XRP Earn account, allowing retail investors to access yield strategies traditionally reserved for institutions. New product enables XRP holders to earn yield while retaining self-custody, addressing the lack of native staking or yield infrastructure for XRP. Security audits have been completed, and the platform supports simple onboarding, aiming to expand to other digital assets and real-world yield strategies. So, this is going very much viral. This is a new launch. This is new. I know a lot of people are hearing about it, and so I wanted to cover and talk about it because I wanted to make certain and go ahead and get ahead of the news a little bit and say that this sounds a little too good to be true, and that it is a matter of your XRP being lent out and loaned. Yes, you are holding the access to the smart contract, but I would say if you see this one, please, please, please proceed with caution on this one, guys. That's the reason I'm covering it. I wanted to cover it on Monday when I had the opportunity to do more research over the weekend, but I got so many different messages from people that I realized I needed to go ahead and address it. And so ultimately, I am going to add the article, but guys, I am not certain how legitimate this is yet. I'm going to be doing the research, but I wanted to make certain that I said something because, well, it doesn't matter whether I'm ready or not. The article is spreading around. And so there is that article. Please, guys, I would not recommend sharing or spreading that article a ton right now. Not until we get a little bit more information. It does sound very exciting. I am going to go through and set up my account this weekend. And so after this weekend, I'm going to know, I'll have found out whether it's a total scam or not. And I see, thank you, Trish. Mile High Trish says, thanks, I want to research too. Absolutely, Trish. And we should be. That's anytime, guys, you get told that you can get safely a 20% return yearly, please. It's not a pinch of salt. It's a spoonful of salt. And so take it with more than a grain, much more than a grain of salt. Whenever you see things like that, it doesn't mean that it's not possible. But anytime I see something that juicy, I start to wonder what they did to make that happen. So I will be doing research on that one. Please, guys, if you do see people out there over the weekend and the Telegram and the chatting rooms or such, really pushing people towards this stuff, please warn people to be hesitant. Whenever you see numbers like that, you need to be hesitant. Hey, Mile High Trish, actually, that great question there, because you know what? I'm wondering the same thing. I've still got it sitting right here, and I am waiting as well on that one. They said July. I guess they really meant the end of July, because Mile High Trish, they've only got a couple days left, with it being the 25th. And so I'm not certain if maybe something got pushed back and they just haven't announced it yet, or whether we're going to get the glacier drop starting in the next couple of days. So I am very curious on that one also, Mile High Trish. We may have a very busy Monday. It may be a Monday talking about the more markets yield and the glacier drop. But all right, guys, thank you all so much for joining me this Friday. I hope you all learned a little bit. If I missed any questions or anything, I will be back on Monday, same time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as next Wednesday and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm not planning on getting sick again anytime soon, so I'm expecting those to all go on scheduled times. Love you all so much. Have an amazing weekend, and I'm looking forward to giving a little bit of my seeing what all I learned over the weekend when it comes to getting some yield on some XRP. So look forward to it, guys. Peace.